Good afternoon to everyone. I want to welcome you all to the Archdiocese Catholic Center today. As we know, this is a time of anxiety and uncertainty as we are all trying to come to terms with what has become a worldwide public health emergency. The Catholic Church plays an important role in the life of Los Angeles and our communities, through our parishes and schools, our charities, and all our many other ministries. We are here to show people the love of God and to make a difference in people's lives. And from the start of this crisis, we have been in consultation with civic leaders and with public health officials, talking about the best way for the Church to respond. Our commitment is to serve our communities, and our concern in this crisis has been to make sure that we protect the public health and to keep our families and neighbors safe from harm. This morning, I announced some measures related to public worship. We are dispensing Catholics from the obligation to attend Mass for the next 3 Sundays, and we are trying to accommodate Governor Newsom's directions on limiting the size of public gatherings. I am taking these steps after a consultation with public health officials and with the bishops and priests and my lay advisors in the Archdiocese. We decided that these measures will reduce the risk that that will endanger our people, or the danger also of spread this illness when we gather for worship. This afternoon, we are announcing that we are temporarily closing our Catholic schools and will move to a distant learning model. Our Catholic schools are an essential element of the Church's mission here in Los Angeles, and we serve nearly 75,000 students, including large numbers from low-income and immigrant communities. And again, as I said, we have been consulting with government and public health officials and working with our pastors, principals, and school administrators to find the best way to reduce the risk of infection. We do not have any known cases of coronavirus to date in our schools. I think this is important to point out. We are taking these steps today in order to safeguard the health and well-being of our students and families, and the health of the public at large. We are a people of prayer, and we approach this emergency with prudence and also with faith and confidence in God. Our hope is in the Lord, and we know that He will give us His grace and mercy in our time of need. We are praying for those who are infected with this virus and their families, and we are praying for all those who are working to contain and treat this illness. And we will continue to monitor and study the latest guidance that is being provided by public health officials and to make accommodations in our ministries as necessary. Thank you for coming today, and thank you for our prayers and your support. And I will turn it over to Paul Scala, our Superintendent of Catholic Schools, to discuss the details of our decision today.
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Escala. I'm the Superintendent of Schools for the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. The Archdiocese of Los Angeles serves nearly 75,000 pre-K through 12 students in 265 schools in the counties of Santa Barbara, Ventura, and Los Angeles. We also serve over 13,000 free and reduced lunch meals to our most needy children across all 3 counties. Today represented a turning point for our nation and our community and the world. California has now entered a critical phase in the fight to stop the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. Moreover, today the President declared a national state of emergency. Many school districts in the 3 counties that we serve, along with charter and other private schools, in those counties have recently announced closures. We anticipate more will announce today. As Archbishop Gomez said, while there are no known confirmed cases of the COVID-19 virus among staff or students in the schools of the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, we believe moving our schools to remote learning is an important contribution to the effort to slow the spread of the COVID-19 virus. For that reason, the Archdiocese of Los Angeles will close our campuses effective Tuesday, March 17th, and will move to remote learning. Monday, March 16th, will be a day to distribute instructional materials, technology devices, and lesson packets to families and students, if that is necessary or they haven't done so already. Staff and faculty are to also ensure students take their personal belongings. Archdiocesan school families and staff should anticipate the closure period to last at least through Tuesday, March 31st. All planned school-sponsored activities during this period will be suspended. It is possible that the period of campus closure and remote learning may be extended beyond Tuesday, March 31st. This decision will be made in coordination with local and state health officials. We are coordinating with our free and reduced lunch program office for the continuation of services at affected archdiocesan campuses. In cooperation with Catholic Charities, our philanthropic partners, and our schools, we are determining how we may be able to offer drop-in services for families who do not have other means of childcare, whose livelihood depends on our schools. This opportunity will be predicated on any and all declarations from state and local officials and consistent with public health guidance on all gatherings and social distancing. Moving to remote learning and closing our campuses in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles for at least a 2-week period, mid-year, is unprecedented. The Archbishop and all of us in the Archdiocesan family recognize the significant impact this action will have on our entire community of students, families, and staff. As a father, a husband, and a son of a working mother who sacrificed to send me to Catholic schools in the Archdiocese, we acknowledge the burden that this will also place on our staff and our working families. As a community of faith, we must come together to help one another communicate, share resources, and offer support. This must happen now. As Archbishop said, and we want to also acknowledge the tireless efforts of the thousands of parents, students, faculty, staff, and school leaders in the Archdiocese, in the over 70 public school districts that are in our Archdiocese, and across the entire educational spectrum. This has been an unpredictable and uncertain time for many, especially those who are most needy and those students who are at risk. Thank you for understanding, for your patience, your grace, and support of one another. We also want to thank our public health officials, civic and state leaders who are working around the clock to end this public health emergency. The Department of Catholic Schools and the entire Archdiocese of Los Angeles stands ready to assist school communities with the necessary supports to ensure learning is maintained during this period of school closure. Our communities and our church have faced many challenges before. This is our moment to face now. We will meet this challenge with the power and the fellowship of our vocation as educators and in the Catholic faith and in the spirit of Americans. Thank you.
Thank you. As we allow one of our media to set up, if Archbishop Gomez, if you wouldn't mind saying a few words in Spanish for our Spanish viewers as well.
Sure. I'll do my best. Bienvenidos todos esta tarde para esta reunión en estos momentos tan difíciles en los que estamos tratando de asegurar que el virus, el coronavirus no se extiende más en nuestra comunidad. Esta mañana anunciamos a través de un comunicado que hemos dispensado a todas las personas, todos los católicos, de la asistencia a la misa los 3 siguientes domingos. Las iglesias estarán abiertas y se celebrará la Santa Misa, pero hay la dispensa de la obligación de asistir a la Santa Misa estos domingos que siguen. Así les pedimos a todos que si no pueden, si no asisten a la Santa Misa, que dediquen un tiempo para rezar y para estar en familia, pidiendo la ayuda de Dios para nuestras familias y nuestra comunidad en esta situación tan difícil. También esta tarde estamos anunciando que vamos a tener que cerrar las escuelas católicas en la Archdiócesis de Los Ángeles. Tenemos aproximadamente 70,000 estudiantes en las escuelas católicas y nuestras escuelas son un ministerio importantísimo de la Iglesia Católica en los 3 condados de la Archidiócesis de Los Ángeles. Vamos a hacer todo lo posible para asistir a todas las personas, los papás, los niños que asisten a las escuelas católicas y desde luego vamos a seguir rezando mucho para que estas medidas que estamos tomando, Dios nuestro Señor nos siga ayudando para que esta situación tan difícil termine y podamos todos salir adelante sin ningún problema. También les pido sus oraciones por todas las personas que están sufriendo a consecuencia de este virus y todas sus familias, y vamos a pedir mucho a Dios nuestro Señor que nos siga asistiendo para que todos, como decía antes, podamos superar la terrible situación que estamos pasando en nuestro país y especialmente aquí en la Archidiócesis de Los Ángeles. Muchas gracias.
Yes. A little more, without getting too much into the weeds.
Sure.
Specifics on how remote learning is going to work and what are you going to be distributing to students on the
Yes.
16th of March?
Yes, no, thank you, Pete. Sure, Archbishop. So it's important to recognize that as a Catholic school system, the largest in the United States, the Archdiocese serves a wide and diverse population across our 3 counties. We serve from the most needy to the most privileged, quite frankly. And there is a incredible amount of investment that the Archdiocese has made through partnership with Sprint in many of our most needy schools to ensure that iPads are available. And those iPad tablets are cell-based. So even if a child at home does not have Wi-Fi, they are able to connect via cell. And so we've distributed thousands of those across some of our most needy schools throughout the Archdiocese. So they will use the electronic devices that have been distributed to them. In some cases, depending on the circumstances, they may also have supplemental instructional materials that are hard copy or will be distributed electronically via email. But we're also using platforms such as Google Classroom, Moodle, and other online classroom platforms that would be able to directly communicate between peers in classrooms as well as teachers.
Do you anticipate any live streaming classrooms, happening over these kids' iPads over the next 2 to 3 weeks?
Indeed. In fact, over the last several days and this morning, our Department of Catholic Schools, in partnership with hundreds of our schools, ran a multi-hour professional development with all of our campuses to train and add an additional layer of resources to ensure that live streaming could happen. For example, Facebook Live is one platform that can be used, and many of our schools are already using that. So those platforms are readily available, and our schools have been trained.
Do you have another question? Okay, two. Question in Spanish for Archbishop Gomez from Telemundo.
Con base a la religión y en nuestra fe, estuve en la Catedral de Los Ángeles y mucha gente que me dijo que ellos iban a seguir yendo a la iglesia porque ellos creían en Dios y que Diosito los iba a proteger. ¿Cuál es su recomendación sobre esta fe inquebrantable y que también no por eso tenemos que dejarle todo el trabajo a Dios, sino tener un poco de ayúdate que yo te ayudaré, no que Dios te ayudará? ¿Cuáles son los consejos?
Sí, como decía, las iglesias van a seguir abiertas y lo que les pedimos a todos es que tengan un poco de precaución, ¿verdad? Por las recomendaciones que han dado las personas encargadas de la salud y también el gobierno del estado de California por el peligro de este virus que se contagia muy fácilmente. Entonces, simplemente que las parroquias van a tratar de hacer lo más posible para que los números sean de acuerdo con lo que el gobernador de California nos está pidiendo. Pero claro, las iglesias van a estar abiertas, entonces sí pueden ir a pedir ayuda a Dios nuestro Señor. Pero, como digo, es un momento difícil, todos tenemos que estar muy conscientes de que hay mucho peligro de que se contagie esta enfermedad. Entonces, por eso sí hay que ver la manera de que haya más celebraciones de la Santa Misa, por ejemplo, los domingos, y que haya el número de personas en cada misa sea menor y que haya suficiente distancia entre unos con otros.
Can you do that in English now? I know exactly what you said. Get it from kind of quick.
I'll do my best. What are we talking about? Huh?
People want to attend Mass because of
Yes, so I think it makes sense that people are at this challenging moment trying to ask God for protection and for help because it is a challenging situation, as I said, for all of us. So the church is going to be open this Sunday, but we gave dispensation for the obligation of going to Mass on Sunday. That is part of the Catholic faith. So anyone that feels that it's better for them not to go to Mass, it is perfectly okay not to do it. We are recommending to them, the ones that are not attending Mass on Sunday, to spend some time in prayer in their homes with their family, just that they can feel the presence of God in their lives in a special way. It is a challenging moment for all of us. We are trying to ask everybody to be aware that we have specific directions from the healthcare professionals and also for the civic authorities. So we are trying to make sure that every Mass fulfills those requirements that we already have from the authorities. The church is going to be open on Sunday, but we are trying to see how we can offer different services that people can come, but again, being aware that it's a contagious illness and it is better not to be too close to people. So that's some of the indications that we have. So we are trying to be very flexible on that.
What are some of the precautions you're taking in the services to make it a little safer for people that aren't?
One of the main one is we in every single Catholic Mass we have the part of the rite of the Mass is the sharing of the Eucharist. So we usually have the receiving Holy Communion in the host and on the precious blood of Christ, the body and blood of Christ. So we are trying to ask people we are not going to distribute Holy Communion on the precious blood, the cup, only on the host, the body of Christ. And we are asking everybody to receive it in their hands, not in their mouth. So that's one practical thing that we are doing. Another thing is that part of the rite of the Mass is to share the gift of peace with one another. So we are also canceling that during this coming weeks as we try to be very careful because the reality of the challenges of this illness.
Mr. Scala, I want to get back a minute on the idea of training kids who will be learning at home at this point. You said iPads have been distributed. What's the protocol going to be with the kids? They know I have an iPad, 9:05, I log in, everyone logs in, we're in class from that point at home. Is that more or less the way it's going to run?
In general, students will have a schedule that they will abide by if it is a live class. In some cases, lessons will be distributed. For example, my son uses iExcel. It's a math app that he does lessons on. And as a parent, primary educator, it's my responsibility with my wife to make sure that he's on task. So there is going to be the necessity for a level of engagement beyond the student, him or herself. And depending on the grade level, that engagement might look different. So there will be certain classes that will be live. There will be certain lessons that will be distributed electronically and through the frequency and cadence that we already do in so many cases with practice or homework that's taken home. I think that there's a familiarity already that many of our kids have, and instead of coming into a classroom, they'll be doing that at home.
I hate to say it, it's going to be a different thing from the parents saying, shouldn't you be in school? Shouldn't you be online at this point?
Yeah. Indeed. Indeed. It is almost antithetical to what we typically think when we're told too much screen time. That's why this is not necessarily only online. There are a number of different pedagogies that can be used through independent study, not just online, but in projects, in hard copy that can be used, again, just using the example of my own children, and knowing what we have in our schools, we have a variety of different ways that we can provide education at home. Yeah.
A question from Angeles?
Pablo K. Angeles News for a question for Mr. Escala. As you know, this week has been nuts. I mean, seems in the span of an hour, entire sports leagues got shut down, so on and so forth. In the week that it's been, what have the consultations been like on your end with parents, with principals, teachers, and maybe a little bit of how that decision-making process happened?
So the question is, I think it's safe to say that yesterday particularly felt like a tidal wave. Our offices, our schools, and rightfully so, we're facing tremendous anxiety and unpredictability. People wanted answers. People want answers. And part of the work of our ministry is that we provide answers through our gospel. And our ministry, first and foremost, is our faith ministry. And as a result of that, we enjoy a particularly special relationship with our families and our staff. Our faculties are ministers of the faith. And as a result of that, the questions, the concerns, the anxiety, the risks that people feel that they're facing is animated in a tremendously powerful way through the phone, through an email, confusion. I heard this. What's going on? This seems to be inconsistent with that. And there were moments when we were preparing statements, we were preparing letters, we were preparing emails to get back to people, and then had to erase them and start all over again because something changed. And that's not just within the Department of Catholic Schools. That's not just within the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. That is every institution right now facing this tremendous challenge, the burden and the challenge of leadership to be in a position to calm those fears, the position to have to give people that level of calm and assertiveness and confidence that things are going to be okay. And when you don't have answers, when you don't have those answers, you feel helpless. And I think that is a real, raw emotion that everyone felt. So that's just a snapshot into what it was like. And the decision to ultimately reach this conclusion evolved over time as new information came to light. And so that being said, that pales in comparison to what our pastors, our principals, and our families were faced with. It's our job to be in a position to provide that level of confidence, that trust, and that faith. And we did and have done everything in our power to achieve that very incredible responsibility.
Any other questions? At this moment, we're going to close this media availability. Again, we want to thank everyone in our as well Archbishop Gomez and Superintendent Paul Escala for their leadership on behalf of the Archdiocese, as we all in the Archdiocese do our part to address this threat in our communities, this public threat. Again, we remind everyone in our communities that we will be in communication through our website, lacatholics.org. There are daily updates or up-to-the-minute updates, depending. We are in constant communication with government and public health officials. So all updates will be posted on lacatholics.org, and you may receive updates directly to your cell phone by texting ADLA to 84576. This information is available at lacatholics.org. Please visit the website, and again, we will be in communication for any additional updates as this matter progresses. Thank you all.